Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's Markets to Watch from Smack the Markets for week commencing the 5th of August. So last week being the biggest trading week or the biggest news week in the traders' fundamental calendar with US interest rates, Great British Pound interest rates, also non-farm payrolls, amongst many other news announcements that came out last week. This week, we might have been forgiven to thinking that things might be getting back to normal, might be a little bit more easier, but we start off this week with concerns over the current situation between the US and China trade discussions. There's also the US and EU trade discussions as well to keep an eye on, as well as Iran and also Great British Pound with the Brexit in the background as well. So still plenty of big political sort of issues that could have major impacts in the markets and revaluations of those currencies. So let's take a look at a few markets here and talk through some of the opportunities that we're going to be focusing on in the trading room this week. So if we come and have a look at the US indices here, first of all, these markets have rolled over. I mean, from last week, if you recall, I was highlighting the divergences that we were seeing here in some of these markets and these timeframes, and these are now starting to sort of play out. So if we take a look at this on the weekly chart, this is the Dow Jones futures contract. We can see that the market has slipped back sort of quite hard now, and there's a number of reasons here that last week's news has helped to push this market lower. I think here still from a technical perspective on the weekly chart, it's still in a technical long trend, but the question is, where is the turning point and where could the market sort of bounce from? It really does change when you start to come down to anything lower than that weekly time frame. If we come down to the daily, we can see the sharp sell-offs that we've had. We've seen that the markets tried to rally up and test higher prices, and this was quite an interesting sort of technical level up here that we highlighted on an intraday basis, and the market just couldn't hold it, and it sold off pretty hard from that price point. So the question is, well, it's sold off pretty hard now for a few days. Where is it likely to find a support, and where is it likely to bounce from? Well, when I see things like this, and we can see that everything's in a very, very weak condition, I'm not going to be looking at fighting the trend and looking at trading against the trend in any way. What I look for is where the move might pause, where we might get some sort of bounce in the context of a short trend. And I think this sort of 26,000 area, where you can see there's a couple of levels of support around there on the daily. I think that sort of area being a big number, big important level, could be the next sort of distance that the market could be moving to on the daily basis. If it gets below this 25 sort of 85 area, then we're clearly back into 25,500 down here too, and there's some pretty much sort of decent sized trading windows within this market to the short side. So the way that we're tackling this is that we're going to be looking for intraday opportunities, looking for pullbacks on intraday timeframes. So that's the 4-hour time frame and lower, looking for those pullbacks and those turning points. Even if we start to take a look at this on the 4-hour time frame, you can see that the market has pulled back into these sort of moving average, into this sort of fair value zone several times, even though it's been very, very weak. It's been back here, it's been back at this point, it's been back at this point here again. So these are sort of areas where there is the sort of most opportunity for sort of fairly sort of quick gains if we can get sort of positioned within these sort of pullbacks. So that's where I prefer to be looking for opportunities rather than on the extremes. So very much an intraday opportunities on the US indices at the moment. Now, if we come and take a look at platinum, this is our sort of favorite commodity this week. Platinum was our favorite commodity last week as well. And remember last week we were looking for a breakout of this 850 level. We're looking for moves up towards that 900. Now, last week we got the move, we got the breakout, we captured some trades on this and had some nice trades as the market moved long. And then with the volatility that we had last week, the market sort of like swiftly moved back into 850. So at the moment here on the daily chart, if we just sort of zoom out of this, you can see that the market's putting in some support around 850 also back into that fair value zone. It's also back into the start of that structure point here as well in the context of a long trend. So if this market holds, if this area holds support here, then we're going to be looking for continuation of this trend, and we're going to be looking for 880 again to be a sort of first target area, and then on to that 900 level again. So if we look at this on the weekly chart, this was the move that we were looking for last week. We got the almost there. Now we're sort of pulled back, and now we're looking for a continuation of the trend and an ultimate target up there towards that 900, 880 and 900 level. So if we come and have a look at currency markets, a lot of these currencies now are looking rather stretched and rather sort of beaten up after last week's volatility. Now, one of the sort of more the more sort of structured dollar markets, I think, is dollar Sing. And the dollar Sing is sort of breaking into a new sort of trading window. So this is sort of one of the sort of preferred dollar markets for us. If we come and have a look at this on the weekly chart, we can see that on the weekly, I mean, not ideal chart structure in the fact that the market is looking a bit stretched, and it's moved up to 138. But we can see that beyond 138, there is a reasonable sized window up there to around 139, and pretty sort of clear after that. So we've got that strong momentum at the moment in this market. If we come and have a look at this on the daily, we can see that here again on the daily, we've got 138, got a strong long trend on this market as well. We come down the time frames, and you can start to see on the 8 hour and the 4 hour that we've got some very nice structured geometry in these markets, and very nice structured trends as well, with high highs and high lows. At the moment, the market's quite extended, as indeed most of these yen markets and dollar markets are, but price is sort of pulling back into this 138 level, and the key 138 level has been a target level for us in previous weeks, but now the market's above there, it's likely to find a bit of support there. So possible pullbacks, we're looking for continuations of these trends basically. So pullbacks into 138, support in here, looking for opportunities as the market sort of pulls back into moving averages, and by the time the market gets back in here, we may well have the moving averages sort of catching up, and ultimately we're looking for opportunities between 138 up to that sort of 139 area on dollar Sing. So there's a few markets that we're keeping a close eye on in the trading room this week. I certainly hope it helps, and look forward to speaking to you next time. Bye for now.